Hello and welcome to Game of Stools presents House of the Dragon, recap number 8. It is Robbie Fox and Nick Hamilton. As you see, it's not the full crew, a skeleton crew, as they call it. We are a house divided tonight because with the Mets playoffs on, and the Mets about to lose, I believe it's the bottom of the ninth inning right now, 6-0.
I
KFC and
think
Clem are in that misery.
I got to be honest, Bob. I think it's over. I think there have been
Oh
two major
no.
deaths tonight. First, first was King Viserys. Pour one out for our boy. Finally, like we, that bit is going to be sticky on my floor for
I
a month.
I was gonna say you really poured one out. Respect.
Yeah. No, I had to do it. That guy hung on longer than I thought, just like the Mets, and we actually have live feed into Kevin right now, just in the misery. I think Frank is off screen currently, just berating him. Uh,
Oh man.
but he has not gotten to watch the episode yet. Clem clearly has already left that misery. Uh, Brutal. That for I've watched those guys just real quick, like the Mets talk right now. I've watched those guys become so optimistic for an entire season. To watch Dave, Dan, and Frank just ruin it for him in the end here is just brutal.
That was a quick downfall. I mean, if you're not watching, if you're just listening on the podcast feed, we just did a live check-in with KFC, and it looks like King Viserys dying. I mean, on the stream, he legitimately looks like he's going out in a slow, painful fashion. But he's going out a lot quicker because it looked like it was good for a while. I mean, King Viserys, he had 8 episodes where we thought this guy was going out. We thought he was going out in the first episode. We were like, maybe they do something crazy here. No, he made it all the way to 8, almost to the penultimate episode of the season. So much respect for him for fighting through that.
Honestly, I really didn't expect him to get this far. We going back early to our second episode, we were calling it by episode 5 at the most. He would make it through. Once, I mean, episode 1, they were picking at his back. We finally got to see that again this episode. Way
Gross.
worse. The whole time I was wondering, I was like, they got to remove the mask, right? They got to show us what's hiding under there. Full two face, like seeing the inside, everything. I, I, I was actually kind of like, normally that stuff grossed me out. I was like, that's kind of cool. Like when they do that kind of CGI and stuff,
Dude, his eye socket looked so deep. I was like, what if he drops something in there? Like,
right?
as a guitar player, you understand sometimes you drop a
Oh yeah,
pick inside the acoustic guitar and you're like, ah, this is the
you
worst thing. You got to
flip
shake it out. Do they have
flipping
to
it
shake
over
the king
nonstop.
out sometimes if he drops a
Oh,
pick in there?
they got to a little bit of a bandage or something. Like, we're gonna need you to flip over and just shake your head for us. Absolutely.
Unbelievable. That was gross. Let's get into the episode, though. It's enough about the Mets. That's enough about the misery that KFC and Clem are currently in. We kick episode 8 off with the news that the sea snake's throat has been slashed and he was thrown overboard. It's been like 6 years, I think, since Rhaenys has seen
Yeah.
him, and he has a horrible fever. They're like, he's got his throat slashed and thrown overboard. That's bad, but apparently the fever's worse.
Yeah, and they said what? It's going to be 3 days until they see him, but then they just go straight to King's Landing.
Yeah.
Anyway,
We don't really get an update on him, do we?
no, it's kind of left in the balance, which makes like it'd be very funny if they go through all this and he gets back and he's like, "Guys, I was fucking fine. They were over exaggerating. They were just worried about me. It's, I've had a cold before. I could get over it, but it does seem like we're not going to see him again."
Do we have a confirmed spinoff for him, or is that just rumored?
I think that's confirmed, and I want to say it's a younger version of it. I would imagine
Okay.
it's younger.
I was going to say, are
Um,
they filling this in with that series, or is it just going to be a complete prequel?
Yeah, I'm not sure, but that it has been, I'm pretty sure, confirmed that
Yeah.
he's getting his own. But I don't know if it's this actor or if they're going to be like the entire sea snake's life.
Yeah. Well, his wife hasn't seen him in years, and his brother wants the throne. He goes up to Rhaenys and he's like, I am the only true blood relative of him. I should be in this spot. And she's like, I fucking know what you're saying. You should get your
Yeah,
tongue cut out for that. Like, I won't hear it, basically. She's very much on the side of, hey, I'm going to defend my husband's wishes and give the succession down to the son of Laenor, even though it may not be the son of Laenor, as we know.
I was actually shocked by her like full on board just being with her husband on this. I do love every time they're just like uh Rhaenyra even confronted her and was like, "You just want Driftmark for yourself," and she's like, "I don't fucking want this. There was just a council. They almost put me up." And I never said that I wanted this, but everybody keeps bringing it back to, "Oh, you just want Driftmark?" She's like, "No, like I just want what's right for my family."
You know what it is? I think it's the nickname, like the queen that never
Oh
was or
yeah,
whatever. I think everyone
absolutely.
hears that nickname and they're like, she probably wants that queenship still.
Yeah, once you get a good nickname, like you're not going to shake it.
Queenship? Is that a thing? Queenship? Queenhood?
Queenship sounds right. I'm
They
going to go with
both they
that.
both sound okay, to be
Yeah,
honest. We see Damon dig up some dragon eggs, which I didn't know what he was digging up at first when he was kind of pickaxing into that, and I was like, "Oh, please don't be fucking spiders crawling
yeah,
out of whatever this is going to be." But he digs up, I think he said 3 dragon eggs. We see Jace practicing his High Valerian,
yeah.
Rhaenyra pregnant yet again,
When he
and
was climbing down that mountain, I was really hoping it was going to be one of the kids. I was hoping one of their kids was like a little more of a badass now because they've kind of just been getting tossed around. And no, no, they're still
no,
just
they
getting,
yeah, their kids don't. I mean,
or
Jace
well,
has a cool moment later on.
he does. Yeah.
He has a Mr. Steely Girl moment.
That was pretty awesome.
That was great. But they have a conversation where they're like, "We're going to go to King's Landing. There's going to be a petition because they get the little note, and they have to go basically say, hey, this is the reason why our son should still be. I think it's Luce, right, or Luke
Yeah.
Lucerius.
Yeah.
This is
Lucerys.
why he should still be the heir to Driftmark, despite the wishes of the current king's brother.
Wild too, when that, like, considering everything that's happened with them, how much they like fought for that. And then it's like, we got to fucking do this again. And like
Yeah,
finding out when they go, I think it was in that conversation that they're like, "Oh, it's the king's wishes." It's like we know who's ruling it now. It's
yeah,
it's
they do mention they're like, yeah, okay, the king's not doing shit right now. The
yeah,
king is definitely like on his deathbed, which he is. We see
yeah,
like in just a second. I mean, there she's welcomed back by Lord Caswell, which is weird right away. That they're like the queen isn't welcoming us back. It's been
yeah.
years. How many years has it been since the last episode in this one? Do we know? Was the 6 year thing
This
like?
typically, I think whenever they drop the sixth year, it's roughly around there because they did that every time. It was like, "Oh, Aegon's one. Oh, Aegon's three." So that's kind of our rough. I would guess like 6 8 probably within that time. We've seen Lord Caswell before. He was the first one to offer Rhaenyra help when she first had the baby. When she was walking up the stairs, he walks by and she's like, "Yes, Lord Caswell, I may be calling on you soon." So I think he's somebody in the castle that we're gonna find out later is on our side, at least, yeah, on Rhaenyra's. Because it was very like I just rewatched those episodes today, and I was like, it's a weird moment to stand out right there. And then he's the first one. He's like, "No, this is the queen, the next queen. I have to be outside for this." Like only
That's a good
person to show
read.
up.
That's a good
Yeah,
read. I think he will be on Rhaenyra's side. Allison is heading a meeting at the High Council over what's going on here. They're kind of having like a pre-meeting. This isn't the
yeah.
official what's going to happen. They're just talking about what's happening, debating who the next Lord of Driftmark should be. Jason Lannister is in the meeting.
I was gonna ask, is that him or his twin brother?
Oh, good call. I thought it
Because
was Jason.
I thought so too. Because he did say a few like Jason's always very boisterous and arrogant.
Yeah,
Seems slightly reserved here, but it is like a small council meeting, so I'm not sure. I wonder if anyone in the chat caught that because what is that? Oh, we did forget. We missed that part, and I wanted to bring that up. Shout out to the High Council. Rhaenyra named her son Aegon.
she did.
Awesome move.
Yeah,
Just an unbelievable move to be like, "Oh no, Aegon, don't worry, Aegon will be king." Like it ain't gonna be yours though.
Aegon, and then one is Viserys.
Yeah, just completely cucking Allison.
They introduced the
Love that
king
move.
to him and everything. There's one guy named Eric who tells Allison the prince has been involved in a delicate situation in his apartment. So she runs off for a second. We don't know what that means just yet.
Yeah,
And Rhaenyra and Daemon, this is when they visit the king.
yeah,
He's almost dead. He looks horrible. He's got the bandages like I have on his face right now. And she is like kind of being a nice daughter to her dad, and then Damon kind of slides in and he's like, "Listen, you better fucking double down on
yeah,
Luce the next heir." And she's like, "All right, like chill out. This guy's
yeah.
about Like, let's ease into this. But he's like, no, no, you got to do it. He starts dying. They give him the milk of the poppy, right, or whatever. And Damon starts smelling it. And he's like, this is
Yeah,
maybe not what they're saying it is. They're giving him too many drugs, it's implied. And they address
which
this later. They're drugging the
yeah,
king up and, making their decisions. Typical Hightower move.
which again, yeah, comes back to the Hightowers, going all the way back to episode 1, where it's like they're so tied in with the Maesters. I do feel like we're going to find out later that they've had a stronger hand in that the whole time. I still think going back episode 1, like stuff with Emma was a little fishy. Um, but yeah, I definitely think they're absolutely drugging him more than he needs to be.
Yeah, and by the way, the High Council saying it's Tywin Lannister. That
Tywin?
Jason is at Casterly Rock, yeah.
Oh, that's right.
So that's interesting. I
Okay.
thought it was Jason, but I guess not. That's what happens when there's fucking twins.
Yeah,
As if this show isn't confusing enough.
there was also a new guy there who was very pro. Uh, it seemed like taking away Rhaenyra's kid's heir to the tides. He looked kind of Baratheon. I'm hoping that that's who that is
Ooh.
because Rhaenys is Baratheon, I
Oh,
believe.
really?
She comes from the Baratheon line. Yeah.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah, so he just looked like we haven't really seen like a strong figure of a Baratheon. She obviously is one kind of in the background, but he was very close to Allison, so I think he's going to have a bigger part to play.
And speaking of Allison, she goes and meets with Diana, who was raped by Aegon. And Allison's nice on the surface, where she gives her a hug and she's like, "I believe you. It's horrible. It's not your fault." Saying all the things that you would imagine, she would be kind to say in this moment, and then quickly flips it on, "I believe you, but nobody else is because you guys were the only
Yeah,
ones in the room. So you better keep your mouth shut about this." And she's like, "Okay, I'll never say a word. I'm sworn to secrecy." She's like, "Well, you told me, you told Eric, you told so and so. This has got to be it." Gives her some money, little settlement on the side, and then gives her the Plan BT.
is that what that was? I was
I
curious about that. If
I
it's
think
that,
it was the Plan BT because they said like we just got to be sure. Now, it also could be like poison. I thought maybe there was a chance at the end of the episode she was just going to be dead, and that was going to be them taking her out.
I was thinking poison or something that would like make her a mute or something, where it's like we'll be sure that you never talk to anybody ever again, and she just it's like essentially cutting her tongue out, but with poison. People are saying yes, it was Plan BT. Uh, yeah, that was. I never know what to expect with that. And watching the after show, the fact that they said Allison leans now more into the light of the seven and everything, and
Yep.
more of the religion, it does make sense that she wouldn't just then kill a random
Yeah.
person. But definitely got that vibe. I thought they were going to cut back to her and she was just going to be choking out like Joffrey.
Yeah, like foam coming out of her mouth or
Yeah.
some shit.
I
Yeah.
thought it was going to be something just like terrible to see on screen. And this is what this show does to me. Every single
Yeah.
time I'm like, I'm just waiting for like the cut back to be like someone gets stabbed. I mean, we see it a little later on.
I got big Cersei vibes from Allison in this episode, kind of specifically in this scene and in the scenes where she's just like yelling at her sons, like these fucking dickheads don't know what they're doing. Did you feel the same way?
Absolutely. And especially with Aegon. Like
Yeah.
here, my thing with Aegon, there's no way I think the crown or like the realm's getting behind him. I
No.
do think Aemond, I think there's going to be a little fratricide or something of that sort. Like, I think somehow Aegon is going to befall something and Aemond's taken over because when we see him in the um,
The
courtyard
little supper scene or whatever.
or before that when he's
Oh, in
just
the
practicing
training
with
ground with
Kristen,
Kristen, yeah.
and it's like this is a bad motherfucker.
He
Like
looks older than his brother at this point. Do you feel
he
that way?
he looks like 35, 40.
Yeah,
Like
that dude is fucking old.
it was when they were saying in the post thing, it's like everyone's between 16 and 21. I'm like, Aemond is at least 30, like maybe more. It's
It's like his brother got snapped by Thanos for 5 years, and then
yeah.
like it allowed him to age up, and now he's the older brother.
Honestly, Aegon, I was like, is that the same actor? Is it
I
not?
know,
Like,
yeah, it doesn't. I feel like the casting there looks wise, they didn't completely nail. Maybe it's the personality, and
No.
that's what was more important. And I'm sure it is more important. I mean, the younger kid version that people said I looked like when we did the little jerking off meme,
Yeah.
that kid was in the show for what, 2, 3 episodes at most. So it's not like the biggest deal.
No.
But yeah, he didn't look a ton like him.
But honestly, him and the new guy aren't so different in age where it felt like even necessary to change them. But I guess if you're
Yeah.
switching out some, it's like just do all the kids, like just switch them all out, and that'll be fine. It'll just make it easier for everyone to digest. But yeah,
High Council telling us that in the books, Aegon's growth was stunted for drinking and whoring. I don't know. Does whoring stunt your growth? Having sex? No
I
way.
don't
Does
know.
having sex stunt your growth?
That's the first I've ever heard of it. That'd be
That
very
seems
funny.
like that
That
seems like
and that would be every short king's alibi. Every single one. Yeah, I've just been having too much sex, man.
yeah,
Sorry, like my growth is stunted.
yeah.
That
I
is very
guess
funny if that's like the Game of Thrones lore. We got to find out how tall is George R. R. Martin because that plays into it completely. If he's if he just wrote that in,
all that jerking off out the window stunted the growth. Joe says that's a good one. Yeah. Unreal though. Allison wakes him up, screams at him, slaps him in the face. She's like, "On today of all days." He's like, "What the fuck is today?" He's like, "I don't even know what it is." He's kind of like a
it's
college
Tuesday.
student in this moment, the way he's waking up and he got the blanket over him. And she says, "You are no son of mine." Very good acting scene from the actress playing Allison. Once again, Cersei vibes. The whole show for
Definitely.
me, this episode was Allison stepping up into more of that queen role. She seems more mature, more aware of what's going on. Maybe Otto isn't doing as much puppeteering as he is like co-piloting.
Yeah, that definitely seems like that to me. I was actually shocked even when we got to the scene when they're trying to decide who's going to take over Driftmark, and Otto was in the chair. I thought for sure
Crazy.
she was going to be the one presiding, but it does make sense. And like,
Just that visual was like, oh, this is like,
yeah,
give me a pit in my stomach. Like, I don't like this at all.
yeah, not one bit. And it was like, and the way they shot it the whole time too was like, just from a dork like uh, editor standpoint, they're shooting with them up high the whole time, just lording over everyone, and it's just like you just have bad vibes. I love it.
Allison finally meets with Damon and Rhaenyra. They're both like, "What's up with you not greeting us? I assume you had something more important to attend to." And she's like, "Fucking, my son's a rapist. You wouldn't
Yeah,
understand."
yeah. No, I just had to like fire the third girl this week because my son's being a fucking creep.
Yeah, and they accuse her of drugging the king pretty quickly. They're like, "What's going on with you with the milk of the poppy over drugging him?" And she's
Absolutely,
like,
yeah.
"I'm the queen, so you better watch your mouth." Basically,
I love Damon. Just no nonsense. He's like, all right, yeah. Who gives a shit? Like, ooh, he didn't come to greet us. He's on drugs. Like, I could smell. It's so bad in the tea. I could smell it. Like,
and it's like his brother, and in Damon's eyes, Allison's probably still like a kid to him, right? In a weird way, because like he's married to
definitely.
someone younger than her. But
Oh, definitely. And that I was even thinking of that the whole time. Like him, like at that dinner table, he's the second oldest. Maybe Otto, probably Otto.
yeah,
But like probably way older than everyone too
yeah.
by that stretch. And yeah, he had to. I love how he's just like, yeah, play your games. What's going on here?
This is where we see the training scene. Luke and Jace go to the training ground. They're kind of like thinking back to old memories. Oh, remember when we were here? Remember that? Remember Kristen Cole's sword or whatever? And I was just thinking, where is Kristen Cole? We
Yep.
then see him training with Amon, and Amon with the eye patch and everything. It's a badass look, and
Yeah.
he, like we mentioned, is pretty badass with a sword as well. Like he can hold his own against Kristen. He had the ball and mace and stuff,
Yeah. That's
and I
the
think they
Morning
got
Star, I
interrupted.
think.
Yeah, they got interrupted by the brother showing up. What his name? Vaynor? Vaymond? Vaymond.
Damon. Yeah. But the fact that like their battle hardly ended, and with one eye you have Aemond already spotted the cousins and is like, "You here to train?" Like with a sword at Kristen's throat, just like he's he's a fucking problem
And that one
for
eye,
sure.
he's only got one eye now, but that one eye has enough crazy for two eyes. It's always
Oh,
like Like he's got that wide eye. You know
Yeah,
what I'm
yeah,
talking about?
yeah. Where you can see like the white all around it,
Yeah, and
like
it's like,
it
all right,
just makes it
fucking
look
chill out,
like
dude.
a little
Especially later
scarier.
on when he gives the toast, his eye the whole time was like this wide open, like
Yeah,
Harvey Dent style. I was like, oh my god, I don't like that at all.
yeah. I want to go. I need to go check out what this actor's done before because like he's got the crazy eyes on lock. Uh, but yeah, that was just an awesome scene.
Laenor's mom then accuses Rhaenyra of being involved in her son's death. She's like, it's not as bad as she has some line where she says, it's not as bad as what you did to my son or whatever. She's like, I fucking promise I did
Yeah,
not do anything to your son. I wasn't involved in that, which is, from a certain point of view,
yeah. It's like,
true.
hey, technically, I didn't kill your son. I killed another guy. We made it look like your son to let you believe it forever. Something I saw online yesterday, and I wanted to bring up with the Targaryens and Valyrians all being bound to their dragon for life. What's going on with Sea Smoke? Like that dragon, is it
Oh, yeah.
aware? Because I guess in the books that becomes a whole thing. Who's going to take Sea Smoke next? Who will who will be its next rider? But since Laenor is not actually dead, did it just take off, kind of like how Drogon just flew away at the end of Game of Thrones? And are they all just like, sometimes dragons just go rogue? Or is it just in the TV version, they're just like, the next person just gets it?
I don't know what they're gonna do. It's kind of fucked up to abandon your dragon too. Like I get
Yeah.
that you have to fake your death, you have to get away for your own health and safety, blah 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 blah. Abandoning a dragon. Remember when Bieber got that monkey and he abandoned it at the airport?
Yo, not until just
That was
now.
fucked. That
Holy
was
shit.
fucked up.
Yeah. That was really fucked up. I mean, you
And
abandon any
Lenore just
animal.
kind of did the same thing. He kind of just, I
Yeah.
mean, he got paid
Abandon,
off to do it. He kind of got forced to do it, but you can't abandon your dragon. The dragon
abandoning
pledged
a
itself to you.
abandoning a pet of any kind is always like, that's a shit person. One
Yeah,
that's also like a weapon of mass destruction, just irresponsible. Like
yeah.
you gotta figure out what's happening with that before you just fuck off forever
And with the pledge
with
thing, it's
Carl.
like it's almost like a to make a Star Wars reference, like a life debt. It'd be like Han Solo just taking off, like he has to fake his death, but he doesn't tell Chewie. It's like, wait,
Yeah,
whoa, whoa, whoa. You got to tell
yeah,
Chewie.
yeah. No, you gotta like. Enough people don't understand Chewie. Even if he starts getting drunk and talking, it's like he's just being Chewie.
Yeah. Rhaenyra makes an offer to Rhaenys where she says, I believe the offer is to kind of switch things around. Her sons will marry her daughters. Like Rhaenyra's sons will marry the Valyrian boys. That's the offer she makes in this moment, right?
Yes. Sorry, I was reading. I think that people are saying that the High Council says Nettles is the next Sea Smoke rider. I don't know if that's in the books or if it was just like thrown in offhand as dialogue that I missed. I don't know who the hell Nettles is.
Me neither.
So I'm gonna guess that that's a book thing.
But then someone else said Nettles gets the cannibal, not Sea Smoke.
What the fuck? The cannibal is the name of a dragon.
That sounds sick. Does it
That's
eat other dragons? That
I
would
don't
be
know.
insane. That'd
That
be
that
awesome.
I was thinking about that. Like if Vagar comes in whenever they battle and just bites the head off a
Yeah.
dragon,
Yeah.
that's gonna be
That's what
terrifying.
I want to see.
Yeah, I kind of want to see it too, even though like I have theories about who's going to die. We could probably wait till the end to do that, but I'm afraid some people I really like are going to die.
In this season, you think?
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
yeah,
Interesting. Bold prediction, I think. And she says, Rhaenys says to Rhaenyra in this moment, tomorrow the High Towers will land their first blow, and I gotta stand alone. Which is a crazy ominous line. Like, what the
yeah,
fuck does that mean? And it makes Rhaenyra very nervous because she goes right to her dad's room. Even though he's like asleep, she like shakes him to wake him up. She's like,
yeah,
hey, you better fucking be on my side tomorrow, you
yeah.
motherfucker.
I need this, Dad. I
Yeah.
need one last fucking thing. It is funny how Rhaenyra, though, every time she's backed into a corner, she does offer the marriages because
Yeah.
it was right before she left and went to Dragonstone that she offered Rhaenyra or Allison. She's like, "I'll marry my kids. I'll get your dragon egg." All that, and it's always kind of her last move. And I did love that Rhaenys called it out. She's like, "This just sounds desperate." But yeah, the that line was very spooky.
very spooky. It's also like she's pregnant. I'm expecting her to offer up the marriage of that unborn baby any
No,
moment.
definitely.
She's
Oh,
that's
yeah.
she's not beyond that.
No, absolutely not. If she gets like literally backed into a corner, that baby's up for grabs.
Rhaenyra asks Viserys also in this moment if he believes the Song of Ice and Fire to be true. Um, Anytime they bring this up, Prince to be promised, any of this stuff, I get a little Peter tingle, as they say in the MCU.
Yeah,
Runs shivers down my spine. It's such a cheap pop, but I love it.
I know. It honestly, like with how the regular series ended, it gets me excited. And I'm like, but like, fuck, like
Yeah,
we know it wasn't that. Again, here's my biggest hopes and dreams are in this Jon Snow show. He's north of the wall. Oh shit, there's still White Walkers. Gets a letter. Oh my god, Daenerys woke up in fucking somewhere and just do it for 2 more seasons.
yeah. You
That's
just bring it
that's
back. Yeah.
yeah, just being like, fuck it. We're redoing it without redoing it.
I
But
would
yeah.
be completely down with that. I think everyone would be. Like
I,
I think everyone would be down with them redoing the eighth season if they said they were going to do it. I don't
Amelia,
think it would ever happen,
yeah.
but people would be like, "Fuck yeah, let's go."
Amelia Clark in an interview was like, everyone knows she went to, I think, Lys, I think is where Drogon flew her. And it's like, that's where or maybe not Lys, but it's somewhere where all the red priestesses are. Seems like a good place to get resurrected when you get stabbed
Yeah,
in the heart.
yeah.
I don't know. Like, the door is open enough where we're all going to be okay with it if it happens. I've also said, like, you could do what they did on the show Dallas, where Jon Snow just wakes up and is just like, "Oh, it was all a dream," and I'll be okay with
That's a classic.
that. Classic. Just, oh, what's wrong, honey? The last 2 seasons were fake. Great.
The king's wounds getting attended to in this moment, and he looks sickly. The CGI work was great in this episode
Yeah,
because you could tell they really did a lot on his body. He kind of looks like Steve Rogers before the super
yeah.
serum, but if
It's
he was,
exactly what I was thinking. Yeah.
infected with leprosy as well. His back, he had so many sores on his back, it looked like he almost did a medieval cupping session where they just like ripped the skin off of his body. It
Yeah.
was gross.
Like
It
they
was
hadn't figured
gross.
it out yet, and they're like, "We think this might help." Oh shit! Peeled that one
Yeah,
off.
they just peel the skin
Yeah.
off his
How's it
body.
look?
Yeah.
It's great. It's great. Don't worry about it.
I picture them being able to cut through his skin like it's Play-Doh,
Oh,
like with a cookie cutter.
I feel like Plato is a little too strong. He looks so frail where it's just like just poking him is just gonna like rip a thing out of him.
Yeah, it's like memory foam. It's like you could poke him and
Yeah.
it's just gonna stay there.
Oh
Yeah, and then
yeah.
tell you what, we reference Play-Doh. It definitely doesn't smell like Play-Doh. I like the smell of Play-Doh.
No.
It has to smell disgusting in that room.
I I don't even want to start thinking about that. I might go full Feidelberg and just start yakking right now.
He tells Otto that he wants to have a supper that night, and Otto tries to feed him the drugs right away, the milk of the poppy, and he denies it. He's like, "Don't give me that shit. Just make the supper, motherfucker."
I love that
Badass
move.
line.
That was awesome. That's something that one well at any moment he was going to drop dead. So I was
Yeah,
like, he's going out. He's going to make some final decisions.
you
Like,
got the gut feeling this episode, right? I know we're saying every episode we think he's gonna
yeah,
die, but this episode was a little different, especially in these moments where the king gets like a badass yes moment where you're fist pumping at something the king
yeah,
said. He has like two or three of these that come later on as well,
he did. Yeah.
where they give him a little bit of redemption. It's like he wasn't a pussy his whole life, you know?
Honestly, I was really afraid this entire time that we were just going to get him on that bed for this final episode. When we first saw him, seeing just how down he was, it was like fuck. I wanted Viserys to have a little bit more, like just one final scene, and they gave him 3 or 4 this episode, which is awesome.
So let's get into the best one. This is an unbelievable scene. The entire way it was shot, like you said, and the music especially,
Yeah,
beautiful score. Like this was something out of Hans Zimmer's playbook. And that I don't say that lightly. I'm a big Hans Zimmer guy. But the petitions begin. Vaemon starts his speech with Otto on the throne, as we mentioned before, weird visual, and asks what she knows about Valerian blood. By she, I mean Rhaenyra. It's like,
yeah.
what the fuck does she know about Valerian blood? Very much implies what's going on here. And she's like, my sons are as much Valerian is, anyone else. The queen immediately is like, don't interrupt. Let him finish his fucking speech. He finishes. Rhaenyra goes to begin, and the doors open. Who is it? Her father. He has shown up to basically oversee the whole thing and make the final decision. He's making a decision for what we could assume is the first time in a while with how this episode begins and
It
Allison's
has to
running
be.
everything. The way he walks in is straight out of Attack of the Clones when Yoda walks into that final room. His little hunch with the cane and everything, I was like, this motherfucker's walking in like Yoda. It's tremendous. And his mask, badass Nick.
So cool.
Yeah,
So
whoever
cool.
made that, whoever commissioned that for the king, A+. You
Uh,
nailed that gift.
Yeah. The one I saw your tweet, I was a little bit behind and I was just like I saw it when he was still in bed. I'm like,
Oh
oh, this
no.
is gonna be good. And then I'm like, all right, rest of the day, put my phone away. But
Yeah.
that was spot on. His little hobble just coming in.
So and the way they shot it and gave him like it was like when the Undertaker enters and you're like, all right, I got 3 minutes till he hits the ring. Like they
Absolutely.
really let him take his time up to that throne. What was his actual line? I wrote it down. He says, "I will sit the throne today" to Otto. And
Yeah.
Otto's like, "My grace," and it's just
Otto
like,
looks terrified.
yeah,
Otto's
he
never
does.
looked more scared. Like even Allison, they're both like, "Oh shit, does he know probably all the shit we've been doing?" He hasn't seen the. I guarantee he hasn't seen the throne room just completely decked out in like the light of the seven shit. He's probably like, "Where's all the dragon stuff? What's going on
Yeah.
in here?
Where's my
What?"
posters?
He's like, "How long have I been asleep?" There's no way he knows how long he's been out.
No, I
Like,
mean, how did they even judge time back then? Just the daylight, I assume, but like
yeah,
time actually, like hours, had to be just a crapshoot in terms of like just looking at what the sun is.
yeah, and he's been so drugged out on milk of the poppy. He's like, I'm sure he's missed weeks at a time.
And as he goes to step onto the throne, his crown falls off. And we see like someone reach for it and go to give it to him. And he's like, I told you, Otto, I'm fucking fine. And it's not Otto helping him out. It's Damon. It's his brother Damon, your
Bob,
boy.
Bob, I that one made me tear up. That
It
like
was a
see
nice moment.
like last time they were at the throne together, there was a knife being held to Damon's throat. He was also saying like, "I want to
He
fuck
was
your
like, yeah,
daughter."
he was like,
Like,
she's fucking, ruined. Just give her to me now.
yeah, anytime they've been in that room, there's just been like they've been at each other's throats, and this moment was just like such a great brotherly moment. It made me like the idea if I'd ever do that, like help my brother walk, anything like that. Like if I was like, I need a minute. This one got me, and it was such a cool moment for him and Damon bringing him up and just putting the crown on him because thinking all the way back, if he wasn't such a shithead the whole time, like Damon, none of this would have happened.
No.
Granted, like Damon wouldn't be on the throne, Aegon would be regardless, but like Rhaenyra never would have got named, none of that. So him finally being, it was like him accepting his brother as king finally, and like, and just it was
What a
a
phenomenally written show and
yeah,
moment too, where like that is such a wholesome, awesome moment
yeah,
and satisfying for the people that have been watching it. Like it's literally him just picking up the crown and giving it to him. But if
yeah.
you've been watching the whole time, it means so much.
Yeah, absolutely. And that it like that's one of my favorite like small scenes I think in the entire series so far
Agreed.
because you get all that payoff, especially knowing that this is the last moment that he has with his brother. Like they don't really get to share another moment like this. This is the last one, and it's him like just helping him quietly, so that way he's not embarrassed in front of everyone else.
A-
Awesome.
And this amazing scene just gets better when it continues.
Yeah.
And the king says, "Hey, the Sea Snake's wife would know what he wanted best. So what are we doing debating you and you and you and you? Let's just call the wife up, Rhaenys, and she'll know what he wanted." And she tells the king, "This is what Rhaenyra just proposed to me, the marriages, and we're going to accept this offer. We accept the trade, and I think he would want Luce to be the rightful heir. I actually know he would want Luce to be the rightful heir." So Vamon's like, "What the fuck?" He's like, "The king's gonna allow this. The king's gonna start presiding on our business. No way. That is not my nephew, and you're a bubba." And everyone's like, "Oh, oh,
Da-
oh."
David
Is he gonna say it?
Damon with the do it.
Yeah.
Say it.
Damon
Like
literally is
you just
the
have to
emperor
say
in
it.
that moment. Yeah.
Awesome.
And he just goes, her children are bastards and she is a whore. And immediately, like, oh my God, minds are blown in that room. Like, what the fuck did this guy just say?
He said the next queen's a whore, dude.
And we know from the last episode when the king was like, hey, if anyone calls into
Yeah,
question the legitimacy, I'm getting your tongue cut out. So I said immediately, cut that motherfucker's tongue out. And the king is like, I will have your tongue cut out. And I'm like,
yeah.
fuck yeah, they're cutting his tongue out. Before we could even think about cutting his tongue out or how that's going to be done, Damon slices this motherfucker's head in half. I would say head off, but the half the head is still kind of on there, including the tongue.
The
And he
tongue
goes,
still being there.
he can keep his tongue. Oh my God, Nick.
What, dude? Just a mic drop moment. Them being like, get his swords. He's like, I'm fine. I'm fine. Like,
He can
just
keep his
clean.
tongue.
He
Holy
could keep
shit.
his tongue was such a baller fucking line. Also shows kind of how he would have been a much better king. If you're gonna call the princess a whore, you're gonna lose your head. Like,
And also, there was no punishment or even like talked about punishment for this. He was just at dinner the next night, and they're like, "Oh, prayers up to fucking what's his name, Vayman,"
Vayman,
and
yeah,
and he's just like,
yeah. That was awesome. He's like, Vayman, fucking who? Forgot
yeah,
about him already.
yeah, don't know his name. Yeah. Oh, the guy with the tongue. Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I remember. I sliced his head off. Yeah.
Yeah, again, been Team Damon since day one. That moment was like, yeah, don't fucking talk about my wife, dude.
That
I
was
got
as
it.
good as the crab feeder moment for me.
Absolutely. Yeah. The it's the Valyrian steel sword too, where they're just like, oh yeah, this will slice through everything perfectly.
Like a
Like,
lightsaber. Like it's
yeah,
like butter. Like just it goes
yeah.
straight through him. And
The
shout out to the
neck.
CGI artist, the makeup artist, to have the tongue still on that top of the head and like the way it looked. That
Yeah.
was so cool.
I think that was practical. I would imagine that like to get that shot, I think that was one that they probably built a dummy for because that just looked so real, like real and just crazy. Then the next scene when his head is just laying on the table, just a little bit off, and Rhaenys is just watching over it as
By
they're
the way,
like,
the High Council telling us in the books, it seems that Rhaenyra feeds him to her dragon. Not to
really?
cut you off, I just saw that and it
Oh yeah,
completely captivated me. That visual, like, all right, that's pretty cool. Because in the show, they actually like try to put his body back together again for his funeral or whatever. They're gonna
yeah.
send it back. They tell Rhaenys like, hey, his body's gonna be ready soon. Don't look at it. It's bad luck to look at the dead body. And she's like, I've fucking seen the face of death many times. I don't give a shit.
Yeah,
Do you think
who
that's
cares?
do you think that's kind of foreshadowing though? Do you think she is gonna get some bad luck because of this? We're gonna be like, she looked at the fucking death.
I could see it just because with Driftmark, like I haven't really heard anything about that until this series, and I don't know. I, I don't know. She seems like somebody that's going to hang around. Like part of
Yeah,
me wants to, but like she kind of has that wise nature where she'll always be at play until she decides to like turn heel and just start fucking killing everybody. 'Cause she does have a dragon. She could just go rogue at any point.
yeah,
But
true.
yeah, unless I don't think I definitively I don't think she's going to die just yet. But I
Okay.
think she is going to see a lot more death.
Yeah. We go to the supper now. They have this big family supper. Aegon's immediately being a dick. He's like, "Oh,
Yeah.
congrats on your marriage or whatever," and he says to the wife, "Is it Bela? It's one of the girls."
Yeah, I haven't quite got their names down. I think it's Bela though that's marrying. There's so many fucking names in the
I
show.
know. Marrying Luce or Jace, and he tells one of the
Jace.
wives, like, "You're about to be disappointed. I'm sorry about that." He asks the kid, like, "Do you even know where your cock goes, dude?"
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh, this fucking asshole. I can't believe it's the typical Thanksgiving dinner. You're there with like that one asshole in the family. You're like, oh my
Yeah.
God, I just get through this day and I won't have to see him for a while. But the king stands up and he's like, I'm disappointed in all of you. You used to be close. You're the people that mean the most to me. And now look at us. We're so divided. We're so separated. And he takes his fucking mask off. We see 10 feet into this guy's cranium through his eye hole. And he's got his mouth is all Harvey Dentish and everything. I should have done CGI so I could take this off in this moment. I
That'd be
didn't.
sick. Yeah. Next time.
But he's like, I want you to see how I really am in these moments. And for me, if not for the realm or whatever, just for me right now. Look at me. I'm fucking dying here. My
Yeah.
last wish, basically, is for you guys to get along for a second. So Rhaenyra stands up to be a good daughter, and she says, you know what? I'm giving a toast to Allison because as much as we have differences, you have been there for my father and you've stood by his side. You've taken care of him. Thank you for that. Allison stands up. She gives a toast in return to Rhaenyra. And then Aegon tells Jace's wife, like, hey, if you want to be satisfied, come over here and get this deck. Fucking, come on, dude.
Wild move. Like, it's like Grandpa's still right there. Well, his dad, that's his dad. He's still right there. Like, you can still see his eye socket. And
Yeah.
he's just like, I got you. Like, fucking what a dick. That reminded me a lot of, I don't know if you have a big extended family, Bob, but
Oh, yeah.
like I do, where we would go and all the kids, we'd just be fighting. Like,
Hmm.
we'd just be fucking around with each other, where we'd sit down for dinner. And yeah, there was peace at dinner. But the second dinner ended, I was throwing hands with one of my cousins. Like,
Throwing hands.
oh yeah, throwing hands. Like,
Oh, wow.
we used to wrestle. Like, I think it was like mini hockey sticks were swung at each
Yep.
other. Fucking,
It
it
sounds like
was
it was like in the courtyard.
yeah, exactly. And that's where I was like, oh, this is such a nice moment. They might get all over it. Even the adults are like letting shit by. It's like, yeah, the kids ain't gonna let that happen. The kids are going right back at it, and they're gonna beat the shit out of each other once Grandpa's gone. And that's
Yeah.
kind of exactly what happened.
Just immediately. And by the way, just to clarify for those listening, shout out to the High Council in the chat. Bela is with Jace and Reyna is with Luce.
Got
That's,
it.
I'm sure it's going to become more clear to us in the episodes. It always takes just a couple for us
Yeah.
to get used to the names and then we can kind of stick on them. But Jace then stands up and makes a toast where he's like, hey, you know what? Respect to my cousins. He kind of is taking the high road in this toast in a way. And then the sister stands up, who's married to Aegon. If you're not following, this is, I know it's a weird
Yeah.
brother and sister are married. That's fucking strange. She's kind of the strange sister that likes the bugs and stuff. But she stands up and she's like, credit to my husband who mostly ignores me unless he's drunk. Everyone's like, okay, this dinner has gone off the rails. Yeah, exactly. That you taking that final
Yep.
sip is basically
Yep.
what everyone at the table does. They're just like, okay, this is fucking awkward. And Jace, in an ultimate move, asks her to dance in that moment. He's like, oh, he
Awesome.
ignores you? I won't. Come dance with me.
Awesome.
And then everyone looks over, like even the king looks over, like, oh my
It,
God, are you
a,
kidding me?
a little bit before that, about the sister, because I've seen this on TikTok a lot, and she even dropped it this episode. She's kind of like a witch, not a
Yeah,
witch, but like
witchy.
she what she says ends up coming true. Where if you go back 2 episodes, when God, all these goddamn names, when Eamon is talking to Allison, and Eamon's like, one day, or Allison's like, one day you'll have a dragon. She goes, I'll have to close an eye first. And
Yep,
then
yep,
she also predicts the web of silk, web of, like, the sides of green and the green and black.
yep.
This time she said, beware the boar beneath the floorboards, or the boar, or the beast. Beware the beast below the boards. Nothing happened in this episode, but the entire time, like, the next scene they brought in front of Eamon when he gives his toast, they brought a boar and they put it in front of him. And I was just
Yeah.
like, I'm like, does he have a knife? Does he have a knife under him? Is he going to fucking take Jace's eye or Luke's eye? The entire time, I'm like, I'm going to be looking for any animal that could be a beast now and just panicking.
And could that mean a dragon turning on somebody, like below the boards? Is that one dragon? Remember,
Yeah, the one that's down below that, like,
it's in that cave. Yeah,
yeah, that Eamon found
yeah.
that freaked out.
Is that below the boards in some way?
That's
I
what,
don't know, but she's definitely people calling her a dreamer in the High
yeah,
Council.
Dreamer, Greenseer. Also, while we're on that, we didn't get much of, I don't think we got any of him. Laris. I saw this
No,
theory.
no Laris.
I saw this theory going with her being a dreamer. There's thoughts that he actually might be a warg, or not a warg. Is it a warg?
Which Bran was right, where you could
Brand.
go
Yes.
into animals and whatnot.
And that's why we've been seeing, they've been clearly showing rats running around, and it's how he
And by the
spies.
tree, right? Like he knew some shit about what they talked about by the
Yeah,
tree.
there was stuff by the tree, and then, like, when in the king's chambers, like a rat's running on the mantle and stuff like that. There's some weird stuff where I haven't seen enough to believe it yet, but I like where that's going.
It's
Where if
warg. People are saying warg. LOL.
Warg,
Wharf. I mean, people are saying wharf and warg. So we
what
said one of them and got it wrong, and they're laughing about that in the chat and also correcting us. But it's hard to decipher. This is
also
more confusing than trying to follow the names.
I know, and also isn't a warg the name of like something in Lord of the Rings, like those evil dogs or something?
Well, a
That's
wag is wives, and
I
girlfriends.
know. Yeah. All right. There's too much. Too much.
The king starts passing out at dinner, and I said immediately to my girlfriend, like, is the king dying right now? Is this his happy ending where he's
Yeah.
surrounded by loved ones and
That's
he starts going? And it kind of is. Like, the guards come in and take him out in that moment, and he doesn't get to see when things really shit hit the fan, basically.
yeah. No, and that's I was very happy if that was like his very last moments because the entire time this is just what he's wanted. Every fucking time he's like, let's all just be a family, have fun. Finally, people are like toasting each other as backhanded as might be, but like he thinks like I just want Varys to be or Viserys to be happy. Like I
Yeah.
just want him to have that moment, and I think that he got it, even though it's probably the last moment this family will ever be happy together.
Probably because Aemon stands up and he makes a toast to his nephews. He's like, shout out to my nephews for being here. You guys are growing into such strong young men. I mean, you are so strong, aren't you? You're just a strong little boy, aren't you? You're strong. And they start getting into a fight because, of course, he's calling them out for being biologically strong in the Harwin family and whatnot. And Damon just stares him down when this gets separated. And this is a little tease, I think, for the future, right? Like
I
these two are going
know.
to butt heads and it's going to get feisty. And when he stares him down, Amon, he kind of bitches out.
Yeah, he does. I'll I'll put my hand up. There's too many names. I didn't put together the strong thing. I was
Really?
like, that's so
You're like,
fucking
man,
dumb
he's
of me.
really angry about this toast.
Where I'm like, well, yeah, they are much weaker than him. So, but they're getting real mad about it. Jesus Christ, I can't believe I didn't realize
No,
that.
it's really good. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
It
that
was a
just
a dagger.
right over my head. There was a lot going on whole time. That whole time, I'm like, "Where's the beast? Where's the beast?
Yeah.
Where's the beast?" And it's yeah,
Rhaenyra tells Allison in this moment, she's like, all right, our families are exploding again. We're going to get the fuck out of here. Allison's like, oh, you just got here. Like, we'd love to have you back. And she's like, all right, I'll take the kids back. I'll make sure they get back safe. And then I'll ride back on my dragon, which I immediately thought, like, she can ride back pregnant. Is that okay? Can you ride dragons pregnant?
that seems a little.
Seemed
Yeah,
like it'd
I
be
don't know.
frowned upon.
Yeah, that
I'm not telling her how to ride a dragon. I'm
no,
pro
no.
Rhaenyra,
If
whatever
she
she wants
wants
to
to, I'm
do.
not going to stop her from riding the dragon.
Totally. But you can't smoke
Will not stay.
cigarettes, right? So it's like, are there dragon fumes? Is there ash? Is there smoke from a dragon? Can you just not Dracarys while you're pregnant?
Yeah, probably not. I would guess you got to keep it to a minimum.
A little secondhand smoke action. Yeah, I think I trust her. I trust her, but I did
Yeah,
worry for that. Yeah.
yeah.
Um, Damon's old lady we see for a moment at the end here. And I hesitate to call her Damon's old whore, but I believe that's what she kind of was.
I mean,
Um,
oh, look, it is, Bob.
she talks to one of the Queen's girls.
Yeah, so that's the girl that's been running around. She comes into the room when Laris was talking to the queen, being like, "I burned my whole family,"
Yeah,
or
and they
maybe
they
when he's
kind of
playing,
sent her away, right?
they sent her away. That's who people thought was Melisandre, just because the actress kind of looks like her.
Oh.
It's just a redhead, uh, but she also the fact that she went to that lady has me so confused because we thought that that lady was the informant for Otto. Is it not?
Maybe it is.
It could be because she's
She's
like,
playing like different sides. I don't know.
yeah, I'm just curious. I don't know. I don't understand her allegiance at this moment because back in episode whichever one Damon and Rhaenyra first hooked up in the whorehouse, uh, that girl there's like a little boy that tells her about it, and then Otto knows and goes to the king.
Yeah.
So based on that, I assume that they were all connected that way. I don't know if maybe Otto is just spying that it might just be that he's spying on everyone again. Maybe he's also spying on his daughter and just keeping an eye on her. But the fact they went there, one, did you think it was Damon? Because I kind of thought it
Oh
was
yeah,
Damon.
with the hood, absolutely. I think they played it so we would think it was
Yeah,
Damon, right? And I
yeah.
immediately, like being a Rhaenyra fan, I was like, "Ah, oh, this
It's
motherfucker
like,
stepping out on Rhaenyra. You got to be fucking kidding me!" Right after he slices the head off for her. But no, I
right?
think he's monogamous Damon, as he's known.
that's yeah, that's what we all call him. But yeah, I don't know what her intentions are. I do think the last we thought she was lined with Otto, um, but I'm not sure. What's the High Council saying? I'm trying to see.
Perhaps Dame Aegon's bastards from all his whoring. Are we talking about what we think the? Oh yeah,
Say
we're talking about what we think the people in the chat are talking about the up next on Game of Thrones, like the next week on, and they
gotcha.
showed a little kid, and they said like, "There's a big secret we got to talk about," and he was fucking platinum blonde, which is
Oh
like,
shit.
okay, whose fucking kid is this? Is it Aegon's kid from the whoring? Like the chat just brought up Shanice Becker in the chat brought that up. Is
Oh,
it
that definitely could
a
be.
Damon kid from his whoring, where it's like, oh shit, Damon's got another kid too? I don't know, but I think it's a Targaryen of some sort,
It's got to be right.
or a Valerian, I guess. I mean, we don't know. The end of the episode, though, this is an important moment. Allison
Huge.
comes into the king's room, and the king, thinking she's Rhaenyra, because he's literally taking his final breaths, dying, he's milk of the poppied up in this moment, he's drugged up, says, "The Song of Ice and Fire, I do believe in this." And Aegon, he is the one, the prince who is promised. You are the one, like you absolutely, it is you. Like you go on this journey. And she's like, "Oh fuck." She starts to tear up. She's like, "I understand. I
Yeah.
guess this is your dying wish."
Which
And he
everyone
takes his
watching,
final breath. Yeah.
yeah,
I know everyone's like,
everyone's like, no, he's just saying bits of the story. It's all out of order. It's all
yeah.
out of order. He thinks it's yesterday. Like, why? Don't take this for word.
Yeah, no.
Like,
And as
fuck.
soon as she said, "I understand," we were like, "No,
Like,
no." She misinterpreted the whole thing, just like we thought she was gonna do. Yeah, that was bad. I was doing the Jonah Hill, like, fucking cut it off.
yeah, like
Just
stop,
die, just
just die,
die.
just go,
Come on.
just go.
He does die. He kind of has the Citizen Kane death, where he has the like his last words. It's not
His
Rosebud,
rosebud,
but
yeah,
it's my love. He says,
my
"My
love,
love."
yeah, for
And
Emma.
it was well done in that, like, you hear his breathing, the screen goes black, and then you just stop hearing his breathing. And then they
Yeah,
obviously talk about it in the behind the scenes bit and on the previous or on the next week on House
next
of the
week,
Dragon.
next
They're
week,
like, the king's
first
dead.
line, King's dead.
Yeah.
Like,
And we
we're not
already
dragging that.
saw, like, in just that clip, chaos is erupting. Like, the war is starting already. It's like
It
they
looks
were
like
waiting for him to
It
die.
looks like they are trying to lock everyone in the castle, slaughter them then and there, or make them pledge fealty because they're all still there. So it's just a powder keg. They can't, like, if Allison comes back, which she's bound to be the one to find him, she's going to come back and be like, all right, lock all the dragons up. Do not let anyone out. Get like, we've planned for this. They've definitely ran this play.
They've got a plan. They're
Yeah.
like execute order 66 motherfuckers.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
like they're like, it's crazy. We didn't have to go to Dragonstone. They're all here. We could just do it in one, like even the Driftmark people are here. We can get
Yeah.
them all right now. Like it is.
And next week is the penultimate episode, which
I
we
know.
know from Thrones. That's usually when shit would hit the fan. Like they did that in the Red Wedding, where they catch you off guard. Where
Yeah.
a typical television viewer would think the finale, we're gonna get the big battles, we're gonna get the big, oh my god. In Game of Thrones, they usually treated the finales as like a
It's
epilogue or
yeah.
of sorts for like the penultimate episode. So
It's
next week, I think is going to be the big like holy shit, here are the future implications episode.
yeah. It kind of shifted a few years ago, like in kind of all TV, where
A
nine
lot,
or
yeah,
the penultimate matters the most, and then the finale is the fallout of that. All
yeah,
the tie up the resolution, set up the next season. So
totally.
we're definitely getting that next week. Where I, all right, are we doing predictions? Because
Predictions, let's do it. Yeah,
I think my boy's gonna die. I think
your boy
Damon's.
Damon.
I think so. The way he was squaring off with like that kid is a problem, and I think they want to set him up as a fucking problem going forward. Where he's got that dragon that's bigger, and then like he's pretty fucking quick with a sword. I think we're gonna get a square off between that him and I think it's
This
gonna be like
season, you're predicting?
I think so. I think
I don't think that'll happen because
they
George R. R. Martin said Damon was his favorite character to write.
is
There's
me.
got to be more.
I'm hoping, but like something that would make me furious. It would make me want to fucking kill that kid. Like it would make me come back and be like, when is Eamon going to fucking die?
Yeah,
It would be that, and I think beginning of next episode,
that would piss me off.
it would
And I'm
piss me
not
off a
even the
lot.
big Damon guy, but that would
Yeah,
piss me off. I hope that doesn't happen.
I'm afraid that's. There's just been a few things where it's like I don't know. They gave him some redemption. They're giving it here and there. If they give him like a strong redemption in the beginning of the next episode, something that makes him like just a wholesome family man, I'm gonna be like, oh well, he's gone. He's gone.
Yeah.
There's no
I think
way
one of Rhaenyra's kids are going to die
I could see that too. Definitely.
before they're able to get married. And that'll kind of throw another spin on, like, okay, well, then who marries who? And I could even see the one who's supposed to be the heir of Driftmark getting killed, Luce,
Yeah. And
or
then
Luke, whatever we call him.
yeah, I don't think it would happen yet, but I do think Aegon's toast. I don't know if that happens yet. Maybe it does.
Aegon's reckless, too. Like,
He's
Aegon's the kind of guy where you're like, yeah, like, he could die in a silly way.
he could die, and then it's like, yeah, Aemon is
Yeah, yeah.
he's a good like warrior king. Like comes out of this, and everyone loves him if he like won the war.
He's not jerking out of his windows.
No, no, he's yeah. But yeah, the beast beneath the boards, I think is like I'm gonna be looking out for that all next episode.
Now it's almost looking ahead to the finale, which I'm sure we're going to do with Clem and KFC next week, and we'll make
Yeah,
our finale predictions then.
yeah, they're free.
But
Sorry,
do you
boys.
think? What do you think the final episode? Oh yeah, that's true. It's like we're clearing up their minds in time
Yeah,
for the important stuff. What do you
they
think the final, like, not the final shot, but the final moment of the season is going to be? Because I kind of think it's like going to be Rhaenyra like confidently sitting on the throne, like taking her place on the throne.
it's gonna be someone on the throne.
Yeah.
I'm not confident enough that it's gonna be Rhaenyra yet, and
You think they're going to usurp her somehow? The High Towers are going to fuck her over?
I I could see that just especially with even the way that they talk about Westeros just being like they respect men as kings, and I could see them being like, no, we have enough of the realm behind us. Also, like they're outnumbered right now. They don't have an army with them. That they have to flee King's Landing, and in fleeing, like just to get their lives, like it's gonna be interesting.
Some people are saying in the chat, Remy LeBeau said, final episode, how about we go to Winterfell? We
Oh,
flee to there. That would be cool to see.
so that would be interesting, especially now that the North is in Allison's mind. Like the fact that it's like the battle in the North, and
Yeah.
she's like now probably going to be thinking about that a lot. Like, what the fuck is going on over there? Storm.
Unreal. It's going to be a crazy final 2 episodes, and we've had a crazy 8 episodes. I don't think they've missed. I think all 8 episodes have been very, very good.
No, I agree with you, and I think like a lot of people have had complaints about the time jump because like we're used to Thrones where in this world we were taking it step by step. I think that the way they did this with the story was just the right way to do it because
Yeah.
like we want all this action. I don't need 7 years of like figuring out like who's Rhaenyra gonna marry next and shit like that or like anything in the interim. I want to see like these action points leading up to like they'll probably slow it down now
That's
because
what they've said. Yeah, they
yeah
said season 2, don't expect a single time jump. They're like, we're
no
just getting you to the moment where you need to be. We're, making sure you understand the dynamics and everything. And then this is, people are saying, fans especially, people that have read the books have reassured me and other people many times. This is basically the prequel to like the real stuff. Like the real
that's
story is the war, and everything we've seen thus far is basically the setup.
that's unbelievable.
Yeah,
That's very exciting because it definitely does feel like that. I think in the long run, we're gonna look back at this and it's like the prologue before Rogue One, where it's
agreed.
like that little scene that's 3 minutes. That's what season one is. It's like we're getting you up to speed. You're gonna complain about this a little bit, but the second we start going, you're never gonna even think about all those people. But I do think that it's been awesome the way that they've done it, and I do think this episode was a little slower. I don't know if it was my favorite.
It was tied with the longest, so that was another thing. I
Yeah,
think it was slower as well because we cut back to the king dying. It was a
yeah,
deathbed thing. It was almost like methodically slow in terms of they were like showing the slow death of the king,
yeah,
and there were a
yeah.
lot of those long paced scenes. But I agree, not my favorite episode, but it was very good. And that one scene where the king actually shows up, step up in this bitch like, and then the head slice and everything,
Yeah,
that was up there with my favorite scenes in the show.
I agree with that. Actually, yeah, yeah, that slow walk. The fact they just let him do the entire thing was so cool. Like watching the Kingsguard behind him just go in pace
They
was
gave
awesome.
him they gave him like the entrance to it's like
Yeah,
that their Bruce Buffer walks out and he's like
yeah,
it's time.
yeah. That was awesome. That will go down as one of the best scenes this season. I think.
Yeah,
I'm hoping like they're
and
gonna end
like
up
between
probably.
that scene and the supper scene where he's like get my family together, like this guy could win an Emmy.
I was
The
gonna
king.
say I was gonna say I think Patty Considine will get nominated
Yeah,
for an Emmy, and they will be showing that scene
I
like
think him and
him in his
Otto
chair.
especially. Like I
Yeah.
think they're gonna get Emmys. I think Allison, the Olivia
Yes.
Cook, is
I
that the
think
current one?
where's that Emma
Or
Darcy?
is that the Emma Darcy is Rhaenyra? I know that. I just
Yes,
don't know which one's the older one, the younger one. The older
Olivia
Allison and
Cook.
Rhaenyra will both get nominated, I think, as well.
Yeah, Olivia Cook. Also, like, I love
The
this
younger
cast.
ones could too, yeah.
Yeah, the cast off screen too. Like that TikTok going around with
Yeah.
Olivia Cook and Emma Darcy, like talking about the prosecco. Ooh, like,
Yeah.
and then even there's one of Olivia Cook being like, I play Queen Alison Hightower. It's like, well, people started saying I was Patty's wife, and I had to remind them that I'm the fucking queen. And I'm like, you're making me want to root for Allison. Like,
You know who was great? Did you watch the little behind the scenes thing?
after the show,
Yeah.
a little bit of it. I was starting to get dressed.
The actress that the act not the actress, the actor that plays Vaymond was so funny in it. He was
Really?
very much sticking up for his character, and when they asked about his death or whatever, he's like, "I don't know. He hit me from behind. He didn't even look me square in the face." And then he started laughing. So
That's
respect to
awesome.
the actor that played Vaymond. He was. I love when the actors get like behind the motivation of the character that they
Yeah.
play, and they stick up for him no matter what. And he was very much doing that.
Someone that did that very well, the guy from Breaking Bad. I'm forgetting his name. He
Which
was
one?
the cop,
Oh, Hank Schrader.
Hank Schrader,
Yeah.
the actor who plays him,
Hank Nor or Dean Norris.
Dean Norris. I remember watching. That was one of the first times Conan ever did like a panel of everyone was on,
Yeah.
and it was like I think immediately after the finale, or maybe right after Ozymandias, where he actually dies, and he spoiler alert for the chat. Sorry,
Yeah, if you didn't see
let that
it,
one
yeah.
fly pretty quick. He was like, is bullshit. Like he was mad. He's like, I was trying to stop the drug lord. Sorry. Like this, he's like, I should have had him here. I should have had him here. Like he was the entire time. I think he was quiet. And when he did talk, he was like pissed off. And it was awesome. It's really cool to see that. I got to go back and rewatch Vayman getting into it.
Someone in the chat said whether you liked him or not, everything Vayman said was true. It was
Yeah.
true, and you know what? He had balls for saying it. Like I
Yeah.
respect the balls for screaming it, and he thought about it for a sec. He was like, "You're a boat," and then he was like, "You know what? Fuck it. You're a bastard and you're a whore," and he like
Yeah.
doubled down. And I was like, "All right, respect. You deserve to get your head chopped off. I'm glad you got your head chopped off, you bastard." But
Yeah. Oh, he knew.
respect.
He knew he wasn't leaving that room. Like,
Oh, you think he knew he was getting killed? He kind of had something about him where I was like, is he gonna try to break off and have like the king not run his shit? He's the king, so it's like
yeah.
in Thrones, it's not like the royal family doesn't do anything. Like
I'm
the
wondering.
king very much tells you what to do in Thrones. Whoever has the throne.
Yeah, I'm wondering if he thought like I'm going to lose my tongue. I don't know if he thought he was going to lose his head. I guarantee he was probably like, "Well, I'm going to make this worth it."
I
Like,
think he just saw red. I think he had
yeah,
like respect to Rico Bosco, but sometimes Rico Bosco sees red. Don't say list moments like
yeah,
that. I think he had a don't say list moment, and
yeah.
he paid the price.
Just unrelated. Or speaking of Rico, there was at a comedy club, a girl had a high noon thrown at her this weekend.
Really?
Just whizzed right past her. She picked it up and slugged it. It was
Oh,
awesome.
badass.
Yeah,
That's
no,
the way to handle that.
yeah. She's getting a lot of love for that right now.
Yeah.
She's like kind of a newer comedian.
That's what Rhaenyra would have done. Like
Oh, absolutely.
Damon tries to sling a high noon can at her, and she's like, "No, I hold the power. I'm
She's like, how
drinking
much?
this."
How much is in here? All right,
All right.
just
I
slug it
think
real
that
quick.
was, unless you have more to add, I think that was pretty much episode 8.
No, I think that's all I got. This one finally, R.I.P. the King. Like
Yeah.
we're
Rest in
about to
peace. You know what
shit's about to
I
hit the fan.
suggested in the group chat a while ago, and I'm still like, I still have this weird fascination with this idea in my mind, making like an American Idol eliminated tape for people that die, set to "You had a bad day," na-na-na-na, and just for the
Love
king,
that. We can
just like,
definitely do that.
see ya, Ryan Seacrest, like, we'll see you
Oh my
next week.
god, that'd be great.
Make
Uh,
sure you go to store.barstoolsports.com and get the Dracarys shirts as well, because they're still for sale. They're still fire, pun intended. We'll be back next week with Clem and KFC as well. Obviously, their beloved Mets have also died, same fate as the King, as we mentioned. So they'll have their full attention and focus on the Dragon Show, as Frank calls it.
yeah, that's oh man, just brutal. I know. I saw one clip from today where they left the gambling
Yeah.
stream to go watch it in the KFC radio studio, and Frank went running around being like, "Are they watching Dragons right now?"
You know what? I'm Team KFC and Clem. They're my guys.
Oh yeah,
That was hysterical.
that was very funny.
That was so
Also,
funny.
when they did the live stream the one day and Frank was screaming about it, it was last Monday, and then it just ended with a Frank the Tank genuine Game of Thrones or House of the Dragon review.
Where he's just like, it sucks. The time jumps. I
It was
can't
the
follow
time
what's
jumps.
going on. It's a yada yada yada. It's been 20 years. Yada yada yada.
He
It's
was
been
just
6 years.
freaking out about it, and then just went right back to, and that's just like the Mets. And I'm like, it is so funny to watch. I feel for those guys, like having to watch that during the gambling streams because they couldn't even yesterday they couldn't even enjoy their one win because I think Dave was losing a
Yeah,
bunch of money, and
yeah.
it's like you can't really sell it too hard right now.
Before we
But
get out of here, who's the MVP of the episode for you? I think there's like two real front runners, being the King and Damon, right? But it's like, pick your poison. I think for his final episode, I think I'm gonna give it to the King.
I got to give it to the King too. I think like him actually stepping up, being like, I don't want any drugs. I'm going in. I'm making decisions. So nobody can be like, he was on drugs when he said that.
Yeah,
Just like, no, this is me of sound mind. I am in fucking pain, but these are my decisions. And I think he, by far, I do think this, like, again, I think Patty gets the Emmy nom. And I think that this is the episode they start showing like different parts of
yeah.
during it.
Absolutely. Well, we'll see how much the Emmys can show with that decrepit face. I don't even
Right.
know. That might be TVMA. Like,
Maybe.
that's the kind of thing, if it's like a cartoonish show, there's a worm that crawls out of his eye and it's like
Yep.
has a face and it talks to us.
That'd be sick.
All right. Thank you to everyone for tuning in. We will be back with the full crew next week, immediately after the episode, and it's the penultimate episode, so shit is gonna hit the fan. Shit's gonna get crazy. So make sure you're here. Same bat time, same bat place on the My Mama's Basement YouTube channel. We'll see you then.
Later.